Hey, thank you for tuning in to Word Study with Cherry and watching us. We sure appreciate it very much. Hope you'll watch all the way through to the end. I think you'll get a lot out of this. If you're a child of God, a believer, I believe you will learn something new. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please hit that like button, tap, tap, tap. And please send out the word about this channel, because I really think that you can get some good teaching from this channel. And we appreciate you watching. Okay, let's get to the lesson. I mentioned that we're going to be talking about the fiery flying serpent. We're talking about Leviathan and how it all ties in with Genesis chapter 6 about the giants. I'm eventually going to talk about the 24 digits on the fingers, the 6 on each hand, 6 on each foot. But not at this point in time. We're going to talk about the crooked serpent today. Let's look at Job chapter 26. Verse 13. By his spirit has garnished the heavens. His hand has formed the crooked. That's the word bariak, meaning fleeing serpent. Has formed the crooked or the fleeing serpent. The word also means to bolt. That is to flee suddenly, to chase away, drive away, or put to flight. So, in other words, he's formed the fleeing serpent. Like a fugitive, sort of. And also the constellation by that name, there's a constellation named Bariak, and it means crooked, noble, and piercing. But why translate this as crooked? It could have been flighty, fleeing, noble, or piercing. But it seems strange to me that they would translate it as crooked when that word meant more fleeing away. When we talked about the serpent in Genesis 3, the Nachash, we mentioned that it means copper also, and that it has to do with its hiss, and the hiss has to do with witchcraft or necromancy and that sort of stuff. Nachash is the root word for serpent, also the root word for copper, or for the copper serpent. The copper serpent would be Nachash. That would mean the copper serpent. So you can see through that it comes from the word Nachash, amongst other various things that I have previously mentioned. And in all ancient cultures, the serpent plays a major role. I have studied South American places. I love to get on Google and get on Google Maps or Google Earth and go to places like South America and look at all of their megalithic structures. I don't have the money to go there, so this is a way of what I call armchair travel, by traveling there and looking and seeing the sites that I can't see. Google has done the work for me, and I think that's awesome. I like Google Earth or Google Maps. I love to use them. Sometimes they can mess you up. I almost had an accident a few weeks ago because of it, but, I still like it. But anyway, in all ancient cultures, the serpent plays a major role. In every place that I've been, and I've been on Google Maps, I've been to Italy, I've been to Spain, I've been to Peru, I've been to different places in South America, Easter Island, just all over the place, wherever Google goes. And every ancient cultural site that I've seen, the serpent always plays a role somehow in that site. We know who the serpent was in Scripture. We know who he is, because not only does Genesis tell us, but the book of Revelation tells us. With that said, it's important to understand more about the serpents mentioned in Scripture, what they are and who they are. Bariak, or the crooked serpent, or the fleeing serpent, which means to bolt, flee suddenly, chase away, drive away, put to flight, run away. But in the word bariak, it is in reference to a fugitive, or like a serpent fleeing, and also, as I mentioned, a constellation by that name. But it's letting us know that God formed this constellation and not another. Even the fleeing Nachash in the heavens God made. In other words, even that constellation, God made that. So what does a fleeing serpent represent anyway? Something has to make a serpent flee. I mean, when you're walking through the woods, and we do a pretty good bit of that, and you're walking along and all of a sudden you come upon a serpent, it's going to flee away. Something has to make that serpent flee. As long as there's no sound, there's no danger, it's going to lay there. They like to get on a trail where the sun is shining through and get warmed by that sun. They like that. And so unless something scares them, frightens them, they're going to lay there. So when you think about a fleeing serpent, you think there has to be something that's causing them to flee, something that's frightening them. Psalms 58 talks about men who are wicked from birth, liars. Their poison is like the Nachash, and they stop up their ears from hearing. It uses the poisonous, wiggling adder who stops its ears up and will not listen to the call of the charmers, who unwisely join spells to charm the snake. Now, we've seen this kind of on TV, them charming snakes, or I have. You can imagine the harm if that serpent closes its ears. I mean, you got a cobra and they're trying to charm it, and it's closed its ears. They might get bit. They might get bit. But, today, spiritually speaking, that's what's happened. People have closed their ears to the truth, which is even worse than this serpent closing its ears. And I believe that's what this psalm is trying to show us. I believe he's trying to tell us that that people have stopped up their ears like this serpent has stopped up its ears. He tells God to break the teeth of the young lions in their mouth and take them away. One who will not listen to God will have his teeth broken, so to speak. And I know this sounds strange, but I'm talking about typology. I'm talking about symbology in the scriptures. And Psalms 140 talks about the evil man who sharpens his tongue like an Nachash, and a poisonous serpent is under their lips. And of course we know a snake or a serpent, when you see it on the trail, its tongue's going in and out, and they got long forked tongues. And it says a poisonous serpent is under their lips. In other words, what he's basically saying is that people can be evil. They can be like a serpent, that their tongue... See, when a snake's tongue comes out, it's fixing to bite. It's using its tongue to sense. And if it senses something, it's going to jump out and bite. And there are people who are evil. They're not serving God. They're not living for God. They've closed up their ears, don't want to hear about God. They want to do their own thing, no matter whether it is right or not. And they're like that poisonous serpent. They're just waiting to bite. I mean, you've got a lot of shootings. The last few weeks, my husband was talking about this. We can't believe how many shootings there are. And I know that a lot of that is due to them trying to take the guns, and the news media is going to make sure that they show that more. Although it's been happening a lot, they're going to make sure that every instance of it, they're going to put it out there because they want to take our guns. They don't want us to have any guns so we can protect ourselves. The criminal's going to get the guns, but they don't want us, people who wouldn't hurt a flea. Well, I might hurt a flea. I don't like fleas, but wouldn't hurt anyone. They don't want us to have our guns. I just like to just go target practicing sometimes. That's the only thing I ever do. I don't like to hunt, but I do like to target practice. I think it's fun. I enjoy doing that. And I don't appreciate my gun being trying to taken away because I only like to target practice. I'm a good shot. I just let it be known. I'm a good shot. Not bragging. I was a good shot. I hope I still am. But anyway, it's about like this serpent who wants to take your life, and he wants to because of fear. And people just won't listen to God, and God will bring them down because you reap what you sow. You cannot sow without reaping. That's not only a physical law, it's a spiritual law, and God set that law up, reaping and sowing. Okay, let's talk about Psalms 140. It talks about the evil man who sharpens his tongue like an Nachash, and a poisonous serpent is under their lips. Okay, serpent's root, cockatrice, seraphim, Nachash, all of these words have been included in this so far that I've been teaching. And I want you to see and catch these words for a reason, because I'm fixing to read a scripture that's going to become very important that you remember these words. I'm going to read Isaiah chapter 14, verse 29. Do not rejoice, O Palestine, because the rod of him that smote you is broken. For out of this serpent's or the Nachash's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent. Verse 9. Hell or Sheol, the place of the dead, from beneath is moved for you to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the dead. Now get this. This is what's important. When it says it stirs up the dead, you think, oh, okay, it's people who died. But this word is Rephaim. It's the word Rephaim. It stirs up the Rephaim for you. Even all the chief ones. And that word chief ones means goats, rams, or leaders. Greece was symbolized as a goat in Daniel. Alexander the Great was from Greece. He would have been considered a goat as far as, and that don't mean in a bad sense or anything. I have goats. I love my goats. It's just meaning goats and rams in Scripture reference leaders. And he was one of the leaders. But it says, even all the chief ones of the earth. It stirs up the Rephaim for you, even all the chief ones of the earth. It's letting you know that these goats and rams, these leaders that have been in the past, that this person here, I'm going to go back to the first I read it again. Hell or Sheol, the place of the dead from beneath, is moved for you to meet you at your coming. Somebody is coming into death and hell, and it's stirring up the Rephaim. They're being stirred up because this person's coming. All the chief ones, or the past leaders, wicked leaders of the earth, are being stirred up. Who is this that's coming that's stirring all these people up? And it says of the earth, and no, don't mean they're on the earth now, but they have died because it's the Rephaim is coming. It says it has raised up from their thrones. Whose thrones? It has raised up from their thrones. The dead, the Rephaim, who are the chief ones in this verse, all the kings of the nations. Now let's go back and read that without my meanings in it, where you can, and keeping those in mind though, what I've said. Hell from beneath is moved for you to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the dead for you, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. So he's talking about, this is talking about Satan. Satan is coming. Satan at some point is going to be cast into death and hell. And when he does, the Rephaim, the dead giants, the dead leaders of the earth are going to be watching for him and looking for him. All the kings of the nations who were evil and wicked and didn't serve God, they're going to be watching for him. It's not going to go well with him, I'm telling you that. Verse 10, all they shall speak and say to you, are you also become as weak as us? Are you become like unto us? 11, your pomp, that means pride or arrogance. Your arrogance is brought down to the grave. That's Sheol, grave, hell, Hades. Your pomp is brought down to the grave. And the noise of your vials. Now, a lot of people think that this word vials is an instrument. It could be, because it says it means skin bag for liquids, a vase. Also, a lyre is having a body of like form. Bottle, pitcher, psaltery, vessel, vial. So it could very well be. And one of the musical instruments is a navel, similar to a harp but smaller. Now, you have to remember, Satan was a musical instrument. People say he had, well, no, he was a musical instrument. He had the bodily form of a navel. But it goes back, let me go back and start again. It says, and the noise of your vials is spread unto you. No, and the noise of your vials, the worm is spread unto you. Let me go back and start over again. I'm confusing y'all. All they shall speak and say to you, are you also become weak as us? Are you become like unto us? Your arrogance is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your vials also. One of something, I missed something here. I'm not reading this right. Sorry, y'all. Down to the grave, and the noise of your vials. I guess the noise of your vials. The worm is spread unto you, and that's the word maggots, like with nasty worms. The worm is spread unto you, and the worms, now get this, the word for worms here is the word tolat shani, or crimson grub. The crimson grubs cover you. Now, why in this verse, Satan has come down, the dead giants are seeing him, the dead kings of the earth are seeing him, and they're asking him, have you come down here just like us? In other words, you've been cast here like us. And the maggots cover him, and the crimson grub worms cover him. Why would the tolat or the crimson grubs cover Satan in hell? And I'm going to tell you, if you have ever heard my teaching, I'm sorry for my getting tongue-tied today. I just can't seem to do anything but get tongue-tied. But if you've listened to my teaching on the crimson grub, you will understand what I'm fixing to say. But the crimson grub crawling all over Satan in hell is to remind him all he lost, because this worm points to Messiah, who gave his life on a tree for family, just like the crimson grub. The worm on the tree defeated the serpent of the tree. See, the serpent convinced Eve to eat of the tree, and it destroyed her family. And the crimson grub, which was Messiah, came to give his life on a tree for his family, to save his family. At some point, either past or future, the Palestinians will rejoice because they think the ones who have hit them are broken, but what they don't realize is out of the root of the Nachash, or the serpent, is going to come forth a much worse serpent, and from that serpent will come a flying seraphim, in reference to the first seraphim mentioned earlier. Why? Because what they have done to God's people in the past and in the present. One thing to notice here is this is the same chapter about the Nachash, Satan, whatever you want to call him. All of Isaiah 14, or most of it, is about Satan. In order to understand everything I've said about Satan or the Nachash, we're going to go to some verses about Satan or the Leo. But we're going to do that in the next one. We're not going to do it in this one. I've gotten tongue-tied enough for today, I think. I don't want to get tongue-tied anymore. So, thank you for watching. We appreciate you coming on. I hope you've watched it till the end. And if you have not hit that subscribe button, hit. If you've not hit the like button, hit. Like us, please. Pass the word on. Tell people about us. We've been trying for 6 years to get this channel to grow. We need some viewers to make it grow, because I spend a lot of time on these, and I just can't keep doing it. Please help us out by watching and subscribing and liking to our channel. Thank you very much for watching.